Hypixel is a completely normal and cool server and has never done anything wrong, ever. Well, that may not be completely true. Now you may be looking at the title and thinking, what's going on? Is Hypixel dying? Is it going to self-destruct? Well, I'm here to deliver some good news and say no, the server is not going to explode. However, I cannot guarantee any more good news. Hypixel is the giant of all Minecraft servers and has been doing pretty well for itself for years now. However, it's looking like this won't be true for long. Hypixel has been doing something that is quite likely to lead to its downfall, even though it's what initially made the server so successful. It's no secret that not all Hypixel games are 100% original, which is going to be a key theme throughout the whole video. And hey, I'm not the copyright police, I understand that inspiration from other things is important, but has Hypixel been crossing a line which is throwing its reputation down the drain? To understand what's happening, we're going to have to start from the beginning and skim over the primal Hypixel days. Boastleaf and Quakecraft were Hypixel's first games. Quakecraft is a recreation of a first-person shooter, so not 100% original, but it's not like it's copied either. Boastleaf was the first of its kind, going on to be copied by Mineplex and servers alike. Hypixel released a few more games, but none compared to Blitz survival games in 2013, capitalising on the popularity of survival games at that point in time that had originally started on MCSG. I'd say this is the first time that Hypixel took major inspiration for a game. I mean, I won't lie, they did straight up just take it. They did add things like unique kits, but at the core, it was still the same. As you watch more, you'll see that this is a common theme from Hypixel, lifting ideas but adding small things on top. Was it right for them to do this? Well, survival games was really big at the time, and they did put a small twist on it. It pleased their player base. No one was mad that they added it. MCSG was in its prime around this period, and I can't find the exact number, but some say it had 5,000 to tens of thousands of players online at a time during its prime, but peaked during 2014, then went downhill after that. Did the addition of SG to Hypixel in mid-2013 cause this? We can't be sure. MCSG did have a lot of problems in its own, such as hackers and increasing toxicity in the community. Hypixel was still relatively new at this time, never getting more than 1,000 concurrent players. Going on to release games such as TNT Run, Vampire Z, and one of their bigger hits, Mega Wars, the server grew in popularity, making a storm in the Minecraft multiplayer scene. And across the next year and a half, Hypixel kept adding games that were all pretty original in the concept, some ideas coming from other video games or even TV shows, such as Turbo Kart Racers or The Blocking Dead. As with survival games, we saw that Hypixel isn't exactly shy to capitalise on current hype trains, which came with the addition of UHC Champions at the end of 2014. UHC started around 2012 as more of a concept rather than a competitive game mode, but as it evolved, it became clear that there weren't really any servers hosting it. If you wanted to play, then it had to be with friends privately. So this was actually a really good business move for Hypixel, and a smart one. At the rate at which they were adding games, the average player count just kept increasing. Hypixel built up a reputation as a really great server and was thought to be the one pioneering multiplayer Minecraft. It was actually joked about how other servers copied from them, mainly Mineplex, who took the original ideas from games such as Build Battle and Wizards, sometimes being released less than a month after they were on Hypixel. This also happened with the release of one of Hypixel's biggest games ever, Skywars, with Mineplex creating its own variant 2 weeks later. I think the release of this game showed just how great Hypixel was and how creative the developers could be, as they took the idea of skyblock but managed to make it competitive and sweaty. Their creativity didn't end there, as they went on to create a plethora of games that became widely loved. But this didn't last forever. Now, let's talk about Bedwars. It's undeniable that this is one of Hypixel's biggest games, being released to the prototype lobby for the first time in 2017. Having been around since 2015, I think it's fair to say that I've seen a lot.
This arm called social service.
And something very dear to me way back when was Egg Wars.
Hey, Shiggy, and welcome back to another episode of Egg Wars. There's one there. Oh, I can go get him. Hey, buddy.
For those of you who weren't around at the time, Egg Wars was a game on the server CubeCraft. Egg Wars and Bedwars have the exact same concepts of each other. Collect resources, keep your respawner things safe, and take out the other teams. Now, outside Hypixel, servers usually fall into two groups. They're either decently popular, however, only really having one standout game, or they have many equally popular games, but aren't popular overall. The first type may be better in the short term, getting the server a large amount of traffic but provides an unstable foundation. If another server comes along that can do it better than you, why would people stay on your server? This perfectly describes what happened to CubeCraft. Once hitting 30,000 members a few years ago, Egg Wars was by far the most popular game. Whilst being pretty fun, the game wasn't that developed. There wasn't any rating system, and it was super easy to get stacked and camp your island with a punch bow. There was no sudden death, nothing to force players to leave their island, or even incorporate a bit of randomness into it so there could at least be a winner. Hypixel took Egg Wars and gave it the range and competitiveness that it needed and fixed to the underlying issues of the game. And don't get me wrong, I know Egg Wars isn't the original variant of this game type. Originally it was called Rush and then taken by GOM HD, but that server is a lot smaller and I think it's obvious that only really the name was taken from there. But most ideas for Hypixel Bed Wars came from Egg Wars. The biggest praise that I saw Bed Wars get when it was released was how much faster the games were. In Egg Wars, a game of 20 minutes or longer was normal. However, on Hypixel, you rarely see one go past 10. The halving of the game time with the addition of stars, leaderboards, just something to grind towards made the game more fast-paced and enjoyable. Weekly quests, cosmetics, kill messages, they're all stable things on Hypixel, and by adding them into Bed Wars, the game was well integrated into the server and made it clear how many things were missing in Egg Wars, and also how empty the game felt. In Egg Wars, the balancing was broken, there weren't enough modes, and it wasn't organised. The games could be way too long, and people with ranks had too much power. Hypixel gave organised solos, doubles, 3s, 4s, and even Dream Mode. Hypixel was able to steal players from CubeCraft, while entertaining their own and just bringing more to the game. The one thing I do miss about Egg Wars though was when they had a 40-person game mode with 8 teams of 5. It's unlikely that this will ever be added to Hypixel, but some of my best memories came from that game mode and it would be so fun if I could play it again. Oh, but why can't you just go on CubeCraft and play? Well, let's just say that CubeCraft has fallen off, most notably since 2017. The vast majority of its player base is now on Bedrock, with Java Edition struggling to keep up to 1,000 concurrent players. I think this is largely due to them losing their hold over the Bed Wars type game mode, thanks to Hypixel. So why am I making such a big deal out of this one game? Yeah, Egg Wars was my favourite game, but I also noticed that this was somewhat of a turning point for Hypixel. To this date, Bed Wars is the most notable game that Hypixel has blatantly ripped off. Well, maybe not the most, but we'll get onto that. But it's undeniable that Hypixel made it better, and as long as that's true, no one is going to care if you steal. Most of Hypixel's player base didn't even care if it was stolen, with basically everyone being under the impression that it didn't really matter and Hypixel put their own spin on it. With the success of Bed Wars on Hypixel, it was inevitably copied by other servers after they saw how many players it attracted, with variants such as Cake Wars and Treasure Wars being born. As Hypixel has been able to influence game modes on other servers in the past, this was no surprise, and almost acted as a distraction. It wasn't seen as Hypixel copying other servers, it was other servers copying Hypixel, as they were thought of as the front thinkers, the ones who had their original games ripped off. From the addition of Bed Wars, most new games that followed were new modes of currently existing games until the Pit in 2018, which was a take on the classic free-for-all game mode, so that can't really be complained about. The next biggest release was Skyblock in 2019, which, to this day, is Hypixel's biggest game. Yet again, another game clearly taken from an original game mode but with untapped potential. This is probably Hypixel's greatest strength, finding games with potential that they change into a success. Which is what made it so weird when in 2021, they blatantly took the game Pixel Party from the Hive and added it under their new name Block Party. Up until now, it mostly hadn't mattered to the player base if Hypixel took heavy inspiration for a game, but Block Party couldn't be argued to be original in any way. There were a lot more mixed feelings, especially since the release of Skyblock. A lot of Hypixel development had gone into it, arguably depriving other games of well-needed attention. The release of a new minigame was exciting. Well, it should have been. Some people were mad that it had been so long since a new game came out, but from the side that were excited, most of the happiness came from nostalgia, from when playing it on the Hive a few years prior. As one player on the forums put it, this was a far cry from the great Hypixel development craze of 2015 and 2016. It was agreed that Block Party was copied and poorly made, and that this may lead to more copied games with less changes, as up until now, Hypixel had got no backlash of copied games. It was also like Block Party was just a test to see how much they could leave the same without being criticised. And that leads us to Hypixel's most recent game, Wool Wars. This was an obvious copy of BattleBox from Minecraft Championships. When announced, there was actually a lot of support for this. The maps were good, and Hypixel hasn't gotten a new PvP game mode in a while, but not everyone was thrilled, with some complaining about other games being neglected and needing updates, especially Skywars. The thing that surprised me most about Wool Wars was how fast it was sent into full release. Being in the prototype lobby for about a month, this has to be one of the quickest release games. This gained some backlash alongside a decision from Hypixel to include skill-based matchmaking, which has arguably stagnated its growth. Did Hypixel hope that the idea taken from MCC would be enough for it to succeed? We can't be sure, but it does seem very rushed, if not lazy. So what does this mean for the future? And why does it matter if Hypixel steals games or not? Well, Hypixel has had a monopoly over the multiplayer scene on Java for many years now. With world records and probably the widest range and most amount of games out there, it didn't seem like it could ever be overtaken. Well, until recently. Don't get me wrong, Hypixel isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But the player base is starting to get fed up with some flaws. The hacker problem, the proxy problem, the knockback, and just overall the PvP problem. For any other server, these would be huge issues that could be a detriment to its success. However, Hypixel seems to have become too comfortable with how things are. The lack of competition is leading the server to slow down in development. I mean, yeah, there are some issues, but where is everyone else gonna go? The add the cheat is something that's been clowned on for years, and with the firing of all moderators in exchange for game masters, it hasn't gotten better. There's only a North American proxy, which causes ping issues for anyone outside that region, but to be honest, I can understand why they're hesitant to add more. It probably would cost them a lot of money which they may not necessarily be able to afford. But the issue for me that I definitely can't ignore is the PvP system. Hypixel PvP is different to most other servers. Hit reg is a bit scuffed, knockback is somewhat randomized, and a lot of things just don't make sense. The truth is that Hypixel has gotten lazy with fixing issues. Lack of competition leads to lack of innovation and made it easier to lift ideas without adding anything. A growing number of people don't want to put up with it anymore, but where else can they go? Well, there actually might be a place. If you had told me a few months ago that Minemenclub could be a legitimate rival to Hypixel, I would have laughed at you. Don't get me wrong, MMC is a great server, but a practice server. It has solid foundations and a loyal player base, but it's essentially just Hypixel duels. Albeit, the PvP works a lot better and it's way less laggy. There's a wider range of PvP duels, but that's nowhere near enough to overtake a server with the range such as Hypixel. A pure PvP server just doesn't appeal to the necessary amount of people. Another key factor in terms of a server's success is its promotion, which largely comes from the YouTubers playing on it. Servers become very popular when YouTubers or streamers play on them, but the problem with MMC is that it's only good for shorts YouTubers. The content isn't bingeable. Getting a lot of combos might be cool, but no one is going to watch a 10-minute video on it. Hypixel, on the other hand, has plenty of games for this and is great for longer form content, which gets people engaged for longer and more likely to play on the server. However, this could all be about to change. MMC's recent addition of survival games, and also Skywars in beta, has brought into question the future of Hypixel. Servers on MMC, while still being a bit old-fashioned compared to Hypixel, work a lot better and, along with the hype of these new games, could cause serious competition for it. I doubt anything serious will happen right now, but who knows what it will be like in a year. Hypixel getting too comfortable with where they are could be just what MMC needs to become really, really popular. If shorts are phased out for longer videos, who knows how large MMC could get. It's important to recognise when a server starts taking too many games, as it signals the end of creativity and ultimately the downfall. People are going to get tired of Hypixel if it doesn't fix its issues and start doing something new. Hypixel started lifting ideas from servers such as MCSG, but if they're not careful, servers will lift ideas from Hypixel and do them better. Do you guys think that Hypixel could ever be overtaken? Could that be by MMC? Are the developers lazy? Does SugarCubeZ deserve more subscribers, and should you follow her on Twitter? We may never know. Wait, what do you mean I wasn't supposed to go off the script? Make sure you let me know what you think in the comments, and also remember to like the video. Thanks for watching.
You frick. Hey, what are you doing? Get away from my island! Excuse me! Who do you think you are? Hey, is anyone behind me? Now I'm in a bit of a sticky situation. You know what I'm gonna build?